Industrial development in India. The British trade policy took a heavy toll on the indigenous industry. Industrialization of India was not part of the British policy. Like other colonies, India was treated as a raw material procurement area and a market for the finished goods. Despite this, industrial expansion took place in India because of certain unforeseen circumstances. First, during the course of the First World War and then during the Great Depression. The first Indian to start a cotton mill was Kawasji Nanabai Dawar, 1815 to 73, yeah, Parsi in Bombay in 1854. This was known as the Bombay Spinning and Weaving Company. The city's leading traders, mostly Parsis, contributed to this endeavor. The American Civil War was a boon to the cotton farmers, but after the Civil War, when Britain continued to import cotton from America, Indian cotton cultivators came to grief, but Europeans started textile mills in India, taking advantage of the cheapness of cotton available. Ahmedabad textile mills were established by Indian entrepreneurs, and both Ahmedabad and Bombay became prominent centers of cotton mills. By 1914, there were 129 spinning, weaving, and other cotton mills within Bombay Presidency. Um, and between 1975 to 76, 1913 to 14, the number of cotton textile mills in India increased from 47 to 271. On 16th April 16th, 1853, the first train between Bombay and Thane, where 34 kilometers away, was initiated. An important landmark in the establishment of industries in India was the expansion of railway system. The first passenger train, 1853, connecting Bombay with Thane. Mm, Railways was the biggest engineering industry in India. British management industry run by railway companies employed 98,723 persons in 1911. The advent of railways and other means of transport and communication facilities helped the development of various industries. Jute was yet another industry that picked up in India in the late 19th century and early 20th century. The first jute mill in Calcutta was founded in 1855. The growth of jute industry was so rapid, and by 1914 there were 64 mills in Calcutta Presidency. However, unlike the Bombay textile industry, these mills were owned by Europeans, though the industrial development in the 19th century was mainly confined to very limited sectors like cotton, jute, etc. Efforts were made to diversify structures. For example, the Bengal Coal Company was set up in 1843 in Raniganj by Devendra Dwarakanath. Bengal Coal Company was set up in 1843 in Raniganj by Dwarakanath Tagore, grandfather of Rabindranath Tagore. The coal industry picked up after 1892, and its growth peaked during the First World War years. It was in the early 20th century industries in India began to diversify. The first major steel industry, Tata Iron and Steel Company, was set up by the Tatas in 1907. As a part of the Swadeshi effort in Sanjeev, prior to this, a group of Europeans had attempted in 1875 to found the Bengal Iron Company. Following this, the Bengal Iron and Steel Company was set up in 1889. However, Tisco made a huge headway. Then the other endeavors in this sector, the production increased from 31,000 tons in 1912 to 1913 to 181,000 tons in 1917-1918. The First World War gave a landmark break to the industrialization of the country. For the first time, Britain's strategic position in the East was challenged by Japan. The traditional trade routes were vulnerable to attack. Hence, Britain loosened its grip and granted some concessions to the Indian capitalists. Comparative relaxation of control by the British government and the expansion of domestic market due to the war facilitated the process of industrialization. For the first time, an industrial commission was appointed in 1916. The cotton and jute shoe industry showed much growth. Steel industry was yet another sector marked by substantial growth. Other industries showing progress were paper, chemical, cement, fertilizer standing. The first Indian-owned paper mill, Cooper Paper Mill, was set up in 1882 in Lucknow. Following this, Itagur Paper Mill and Bengal Paper Mill, both owned by Europeans, was established. Cement manufacturing began in 1904 in Madras with the establishment of South Indian Industries Limited. Tanning industry began in the late 19th century, and the government leather factory was set up in 1860 in Kanpur. Um, First Indian-owned national tannery was established in 1905 in Calcutta. The gold coining in Kolar was started in the late 19th century in the Kolar mining goldfield, Mysore. The interwar period, they registered growth in manufacturing industries. Interestingly, growth rate was far better than Britain and even better than the world average. After a short slug in 1923-24, the output of the textile industry began to pick up. During the interwar period, the number of looms and spindles increased considerably. In 1929, 44% of the total amount of cotton-based goods consumed in India came from outside, but by 1933-34, after the Great Depression, the proportion had fallen to 20.5%. Other two industries which registered impressive growth were sugar and cement. The interwar years saw growth in the shipping industry too. Thus, India Steam Navigation Company Limited 1919 was the pioneer. In 1939, they took over the Bombay Steam Navigation Company Limited, a British concern. Eight Indian concerns were operational in this sector. A new phase of production began with the Second World War. Industrial development in Tamil Nadu during the Depression. The industrial growth in Madras presidency was substantial. In Coimbatore, after Staines Mill, Coimbatore spinning and weaving mills were established. In 1896, no other mill could come up. The object conditions created by the depression, like fall in prices of land, cheapness of labor, and low interest rates, led to the expansion of textile industry in Coimbatore. 29 mills and ginning factories were floated in the Coimbatore area. During 1929 to 37, a cement factory was established at Madurai, Coimbatore district in 1932. Gave fillip to the cement industry in the state. The number of sugar factories in the province rose from 2 to 11 between 1931 and 1936. There were also proliferation of rice mills, oil mills, and cinema enterprise during this period.